The Greater Centerville Historians organized in the year 2000. The purpose of the organization is to preserve the history of the Township of Centerville, Cleveland and surrounding area. Gerald O'Neill, Charlie Bauer, Richard Wiegand, and myself, Kathleen Sixel, were the founding members. In 1831, the territory south of Green Bay was sold to the U.S. government by the Native Americans who had title to the land. The consideration was the promise of a reservation in another state. The Township of Centerville was established in 1850. The township had a village called Centerville. The reason for the hamlet's original name of Centerville was, in the days of the Indians, there was a trail along Lake Michigan between Manitowoc and Sheboygan. This heavenly spot was exactly at the halfway mark, so the early white man gave it the name Centerville. In 1849, the village of Centerville was surveyed and laid out in lots and blocks. The village of Centerville was renamed Hika when the Postmaster General informed the village leaders that another Centerville was located in the state. When it became time for Centerville to be renamed, a judge in Manitowoc by the name of Albert Schmidt would take kids hiking. The judge said, "You can't call a town hiking, so why not make it Hika?" Thus, the village of Centerville became Hika. In the early years, Centerville had the vision of becoming a lake port. To encourage ships to dock there, 2 piers were built into Lake Michigan. Many German immigrants arrived by schooners, and the village began to grow. The village had a brick factory, stores, schools, a Lutheran and a Catholic church, mills, saloons, blacksmith shop, and a fire department, and a brewery. When the brewery was built, the settlement began to flourish. But when fire destroyed the brewery, the largest industry, there was no longer a need for the harbor facilities. So ended this chapter of the development of Hika. 2 miles west of Hika, another settlement known as St. Wendel began to grow. It had a Catholic church, a general store with a connected dance hall, and a post office was also located in the complex, a funeral parlor, and at one time a motel. With the clearing of the forest, tilling of the land began. This prompted the exporting of lumber and grains. The farmers of Centerville looked forward to the building of a railway since they had a serious problem transporting their products. In 1873, the Milwaukee, Lakeshore, and Western Railroad was built between the settlements of Hika and St. Wendel and was named Centerville Station. In 1880, Centerville Station was renamed Cleveland after President Grover Cleveland. Cleveland, at that point in time, owes its growth to the fact that the Township of Centerville was a rich farming community, and farmers for miles around would bring products to be shipped by rail or ship. The village of Cleveland had several grocery stores, a furniture store, a funeral parlor, several saloons, Lutheran church, hardware stores, several gas stations, newspaper, photographer studio, several car dealerships, cheese factory, several feed mills, livestock yard, and lumber yards. The biggest business was the Cleveland Co-op, which offered many types of services. With the failing of grain crops, the farmers began dairy farming. With the abundance of milk, another industry began, cheese and butter making. Local cheese factories dotted the countryside. One-room schools were usually built near the cheese factories, so children would have a ride to school when farmers brought their milk. In 1958, Hika, St. Wendel, and Cleveland incorporated into the village of Cleveland. In 1968, the Cleveland Elementary School was built. The Township of Centerville has seen many farming changes, but dairy farming is still the primary vocation. Today, Cleveland is known as the seat of Lakeshore Technical College, which offers an educational alternative to 4-year colleges. An ancient proverb states, When an old person dies, a library burns to the ground. These words were the inspiration for organizing the Greater Centerville Historians. We hope to preserve as many memories as possible.
Who's going to introduce us a little bit and provide some information. Go right ahead, please.
My name is Kathy Sixel, and we are the Greater Centerville Historians, and I'm so glad to see so many of you here tonight. And I also want to welcome Richard back. He's been gone a long time, and how wonderful that he's our presenter. And it's November 14th, 2005. It was in the 40 degrees, and we're having just wonderful fall weather.
And are we celebrating something this evening also?
Yes, we're celebrating Thanksgiving, and let's talk about traditions.
Okay.
And I'm having the usual tradition, my family's coming home.
They're coming home for Thanksgiving?
Well, not all of them, not from Minnesota, but the children from around here.
Okay, very good. And any Thanksgiving traditions from you, if you'd like to identify yourself, sir?
Richard Wiegand, I thought we were celebrating the 5th anniversary of this organization.
We are too.
Oh, good job, Richard.
Yeah,
good
sorry
job.
about that.
Besides,
Yeah.
Thanksgiving tradition, my mother still has Thanksgiving, and we do it on Saturday so that the two sisters can do theirs on Thursday. So I'll be here on that Saturday.
Very good. Thank you very much. And we've got another gentleman here who's been around many times. I'm glad to see him again.
I am Jerry Leonard, and our Thanksgiving is down at our daughter's and down in New Berlin. It has been for several years, and it's a special occasion this year. It's altered the day of her birthday.
Oh, great.
It's going to be 2 parties in one day.
Very good. Thank you very much. And who do you have here, please?
I'm Willard Matthias. We usually go over to Alice's sister at Princeton for the
Oh.
Thanksgiving Day.
Very good. Very good. And who do you have here, please?
I am his wife Alice, and he told you where we go.
Yeah.
They're hunters, so we always go to Princeton where they can hunt and be home for lunch.
Oh, hey, no, that's nice. That's
Mhm.
good. Very good. Thank you. And who do you have here, please?
I'm Irene Dine, and I'm staying home and I'm cooking.
You're staying home and you're cooking.
Yes.
Okay. And who do you have here, please?
Melvin Yanihan. I don't know yet what we're going to do
Okay.
for Thanksgiving.
Okay. Do you normally have turkey or do you have other meats?
We have turkey or duck.
Okay. Oh, really? Good. Good. And who do you have here, please?
I'm Fred Jacoby, and we're going to have 3 of the 4 children home, and it still falls to Roseanne to do the cooking every year.
Very good. I bet she enjoys it, though. Okay. And who do you have here, please?
Hi, I'm Brian Kramer, Chairman of Town of Centerville, longtime resident.
Okay.
I'd like to thank everybody for inviting me to this, and I especially want to thank this group for getting history down on record before. As I look around here, I see I'm the youngest one here, and I'm getting up there, I thought. So someday, future generations will appreciate this, and I want to thank everybody.
Great. Thank you very much for those words. Appreciate that. And who do you have here, please? Any traditions from you? Did I get traditions from you?
Traditional Thanksgiving dinner, family, getting together, the children, grandparents.
Good. Good. And now we'll go on to this gentleman, and he'll identify himself, please.
Ken Brookshin. And a tradition we have is we'll have Thanksgiving at my mother's place.
Okay.
Done that for many years.
All righty. Very good. And who do you have here, please?
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Judy Brookshin, and we always go to Ken's mom for Thanksgiving, but
Okay.
I have now taken over
Ah.
the job of making stuffing for 35 plus people.
Wow. That's big time.
And it's working.
Very good. Thank you. And who do you have here, please?
Kathy Wagner, and I'm going to be home, and I'm going to be cooking, and most of my kids are coming home.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. And who do you have here, please?
Walter Kress, and I'm be with my son for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
This Sunday, they're going out of town on Thanksgiving, so we're going to have it early.
All right. That works out too. Okay, and who do you have here?
Dolores Kress. I'm gonna go to Kiel by my niece for Thanksgiving, and my daughter and her husband are gonna be there, and Butch, I don't know what he's gonna do, if he's gonna go up north. But he can't go ice fishing, there's no ice.
No, not yet. Gotta walk softly. Okay, well, thank you. And who do you have here, please?
I'm Marie Pippert, and when you get to be my age, you gotta let those younger kids do the cooking.
There you go, there you go. Hand it off, hand it off. Okay, and who do you have here, please?
Dorothy Anderson, and we haven't worked out Thanksgiving Day yet, but we'll probably go out to eat somewhere.
Okay, good enough. And who do you have here?
Charlie Bauer, and we'll have Thanksgiving by my favorite mother-in-law.
Ah, boy, you made points, I'm telling you. And who do you have here, please?
Edith Litzy, and I will be going to Kansas City for
Oh
Thanksgiving.
my gosh, very good, very good. Enjoy it. And who do you have here, please?
Dave Cole, and we'll be getting together with my wife's family and their children and all. We do that every year.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And myself, the videographer, Jerry O'Neill. We normally had Thanksgiving in our homes and so forth, but since my mother-in-law is presently in a nursing home, we usually spend that area and that time with them. So I guess we'll begin the evening with some rules and regulations. Not too many, I guess.
I want to add one other thing about tradition. I don't know how many of you did this years ago, but we always had schwarzauer soup for Thanksgiving.
Schwarzauer.
It was made from the blood of the goose.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and then there were only certain people that ate it, and they cooked chicken, like roosters, and you ate that with this schwarzauer. We at our home made it out of pig blood. And there it was like sweet sour. It had a sweet taste, and it had noodles and prunes and raisins in. But the sixels, it was just plain blood, and then this chicken was with it. Anybody else do this for Thanksgiving?
You got one here? Let's talk Irene for a moment. Would you ever prepare it yourself, or?
I didn't eat it, and I'm not gonna make it.
It sounds fantastic.
I don't think everybody knew how to make it.
That's a new venture, I'll tell you. Very good, Kathy. And I guess now we'll give the rules and regulations of the evening.
Okay, well, we're giving the rules now for 5 years. Please raise your hand when you're informed. Please raise your hand when you want to give information to Jerry, because that way we won't miss any of your information and you'll be able to share it with everybody. Always state your full name. Try and use full names when referring to people. Try not to use nicknames, because in the future references, people won't know who that is. And I know this is a hard one. Don't try to visit, because it picks up on the video. I have a problem with that one myself. Okay, and so we will have Richard lead us in.
Okay, just one moment, please. Okay, got a gentleman here who, like I said, hadn't been here for a number of months now, and he's going to present something, so we'll see what he's up to. Go right ahead, please.
Richard Ottowegen, and I decided to borrow the Klessig Saxon homestead stack of blown up photos, and we're going to concentrate on the Township of Centerville. Some of it's going to be Klessig stuff, but there's some Centerville and Cleveland pictures in there, so I'll pass the Centerville and the Cleveland pictures around first, and raise your hands and add anything you want to add. We'll try to keep this as lively as we can. I went through this all last night with my folks, and we went through this afternoon, and so there's plenty of stuff here to think about, but it's focused pretty much on Union Road and Klessig and around there. So Klessigs obviously aren't here to represent themselves, but that's fine. I think I can handle most of this. So I'll just get some things started here.
If you have information on those pictures, if you can relate that,
yeah, I'll
we'll
do
photo it right
what
here.
I can.
Okay.
I think maybe I should start on the other end of this box.
Okay, would you repeat that one more time, Richard?
There are a lot of agricultural scenes, and Ed is in a lot of them, but some of them are from Klessig in North Dakota also. So the first photograph that I have is a haymaking. They're stacking hay here with some kind of rig.
Wow.
And I'm not sure where this is. There's nothing on the back of this photo.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But you're saying that the Klessigs have farms or something in Dakota? Is that?
yeah, there's some of them moved. Some of them moved out there. I don't recognize anybody here, but they also have some photos of some scenes there.
Okay.
I will mention that the Klessigs have had some family reunions, and 300 or 400 people came to a few of these family reunions, and they say there's thousands of them, but every Klessig in the United States is related. They're all back from the same village, the same ancestors. And of course, they're scattered around like everybody else's. So I'll
Okay.
pass this one around
Yes,
if you
if
got
would.
it.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay, we'll pass it to Charlie.
Okay, we have another farm scene. Could you describe
Yeah,
it
this
a little
is a
bit?
threshing scene from 1937. My dad, Lewis, is sitting on the tractor. This is at the Klessig farm. I'm not sure who's on the wagon. It's one of theirs, but there were 4 families that threshed together. Kurt Wiegand, Ottowegen, Ed Klessig, and Walter Klessig.
Okay.
They went together on threshing. So this is at Ed Klessig's place, and my dad's on the tractor.
Very good. By the way, if I may ask, Richard, the blown up pictures, how was that achieved as far as?
You know, I
getting
don't
that
know.
size?
Elise went and she got a bunch of pictures from the neighborhood, even from the Hika Bay Tavern, and they blew them up somewhere, and they made these big black and whites. They got about 80 of them, I think, in there, and so it's quite a collection. They took a lot of photos of themselves. You know, maybe they have an ego thing or something, but I'm glad because I've captured a lot of events.
Yeah. Okay, what do we have there, please?
This is a photograph in the orchard, probably back in the 30s. I don't know if there's a date on it.
It says 1916.
Oh, 16. Wow, that's a long time ago. And they're spraying apple trees. And it says on there that they might be using an arsenic-based spray. And that's what they used for apple spray back in those days.
Okay.
And my grandfather, Ottowegen, died of Hodgkin's disease, and he sprayed a lot of apples in his day. We had orchards, and the theory is that he might have, because we don't generally have cancer in our family, fingers crossed, he might have, got exposed to that.
Okay.
So.
Very good, thank you.
This is another threshing scene. Is that okay the way I'm holding it?
Yes.
And
Long as tipped slightly down where that works.
yeah, okay. And I'm not sure where this is, but it's a classic photo from somewhere. And this might again be out west.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look to see who was on there, if I recognize any of them.
I am truly amazed by the sharpness of those pictures.
Yeah, they're very crisp.
As that's going around, I have a question to ask Jerry.
Sure, just one moment. Go right ahead, please.
My name is Kathy Sixel, and I want to ask the rest of you, when we used to thrash years ago, and then my dad would have to go out in the straw stack, and they got what was called thrasher fever that night. Anybody know what that is today? They like shook. I think it was an allergy to the
Really?
to the straw, the dust in the straw, and I was wondering if anybody knew anything about that.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, we've got a lady and a gentleman there. Would you like to describe that a little bit, Richard?
Yeah, this is Friedrich August Klessig and Elizabeth Wagner, and they were husband and wife. And these are the people that settled on the Saxon homestead farm. There was another brother of his named Ferdinand that settled on the Walter Klessig farm, and Ferdinand's son Ernst married my great-great aunt Laura Marie Wiegand. So we're related to that branch, not to this one. But,
Okay.
this is just a kind of classic picture of a couple, you know, in their later years, wearing dark, they're stern looking, you know, tough with lines and, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The photographer got what he wanted there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then I'll show you the next generation.
Okay.
This is Otto Klessig, who was the son of Friedrich August, and this is the father of Edwin Klessig, and the mother of Edwin Klessig. I don't remember her name. She was from the Howards Grove area, but this is the next generation then.
Okay.
On that farm.
All right. Thank you.
This is a photograph of putting away corn. It says processing corn. I'm not sure. They must be chopping it into something.
Okay.
To the silo or whatever. And this is on the Klessig farm. I don't remember what the date is. Excuse me, is there a date on there? No, there's no date, but they have a big steam, kind of a steam tractor that they're using. The description for that thing.
I think it was a steam engine it was called, right?
Or an engine, yeah.
Steam engine.
An engine.
Huh. Okay, very good, thank you.
This next one is a document. And what it is the marriage certificate of Friedrich August and Elizabeth Wagner. And the person who conducted the marriage was my ancestor, Carl R.G. Wiegand, who was the justice of the peace in town Centerville. And this was in 1853. We have, I think, 3 signatures from my ancestor, Carl Wiegand. So he was justice of the peace, among other things.
Okay. And that was a marriage certificate?
This is a marriage certificate, you know, it's a civil ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't a religious one.
Okay. Very good, thank you.
Very nice handwriting. I'm going to mix these photos up a little bit. Here is a very nice, crisp picture of the Stoltenberg store in Cleveland. Very, very sharp picture. I don't know when, isn't a year on it, but is there a car in the front there or something?
No, this is way back on the...
It's way back.
Way back, the horse and the buggy.
Horse and buggy days.
Yeah.
Very nice picture.
Now,
I haven't seen
did
this.
Stoltenberg have 2 stores? The one that's presently there and this one here, was that?
This one burned in 1930, I believe, and then they put the brick, 29, they put the brick store up. And there was a livery stable next to it, and that's where the fire started? Is that what we said? I don't remember in the meeting.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, it started in the livery stable.
And that's on the same street?
Yeah, it's on the left-hand side
What
there.
street is that?
Hickory Street, now.
Okay. Very good.
So,
Thank you. And as Richard said, any comments or anything while you're
Yeah.
passing the pictures around, please stop us and we'll come over to you.
This lady alone? Who's that?
Okay, I got a gentleman here who will identify himself and he has some added information. Go right ahead, please.
I'm Fred Jacoby, and on this picture, I think that there was some speculation that was a steam engine, and it's a gasoline one-cylinder engine.
Okay.
Just a very large version, maybe about as large as they came.
Okay.
You know, rated at 10 horsepower, but you know, it drove pretty big stationary power for feed cutters and stuff like that.
Okay.
It wasn't high speed.
Right.
But it was one cylinder, and they sometimes refer to them as hit and miss. I don't know if anybody
Oh, yeah.
identifies with that.
Okay.
And there were just tons of the real little ones around, and I don't know what their rating were, but they were only about 2 feet long and 2 feet high, something like that.
Okay.
But it's not steam.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Fred. Okay, we got a gentleman here with additional pictures. Go right ahead.
Richard Wiegand, this is another threshing scene from the Klessigs. If you look in the background, you can see the village of Cleveland in the back. This is looking off toward the east, a little to the northeast. and there's a couple of tractors there with belts. It also looks to me like they blew a straw pile out in the field. There's another pile in the back there. I'm not sure why they did that, but there's 2 piles on this picture.
Okay, thank you. And what do we have there, sir?
This is a picture of the Cleveland train depot, and a bunch of people sitting in front of it for some occasion, and I don't know when. You can probably maybe tell from the clothes. Nobody's identified on it, so I have no idea who it is.
I gotta say, they look distinguished with their hats and
Yep. It could
wardrobe.
be Sunday or something, you know. They all decided to sit in front of the depot. Could have picked a better building, I suppose.
Very good, thank you.
Probably big time for food.
Well, yeah. Yeah, this is a picture of the Hika Mill Dam, or the dam's in the back or something. So this is the height of the Centerville Creek running through under the bridge.
Okay, what side of the creek would we be on where the photographer was standing? Do you
I
have
think
any idea?
upstream a little bit to the north, I would guess. Let me see. I don't know. She would know better when it gets around.
Okay, we'll get around to it.
Dorothy can get a
Okay, she can pinpoint
view of
things,
that,
huh?
so.
Very good. No, that looks very nice, thank you. And what do we have here, sir?
This is a picture of the Klessig cheese factory on Union Road.
Okay.
It was established sometime in the 1870s, and it closed down about 1937 or 38.
Really? Okay.
It was a very viable cheese factory. There were a number of them up and down Union Road. Brian Kramer's got one across the street from him also.
Okay.
Just about every mile or every 2 miles on Union Road there was a cheese factory years ago. This one was run by Leo Klessig, and what was his wife's name?
Amelia?
Amelia Kolb.
Thank you.
And I'll show their photo right after this.
All right, very good, thanks.
That cheese factory, by the way, now is used for making maple syrup.
Making what?
Maple syrup. They started making maple syrup, Ed said, in 1949.
Okay.
They don't make that every year, though.
Not every year. Depends on whether they get around to it or what the climate
Is this
is.
the one right near the Klessig house?
Yep, just down the street on the left.
And we have some handsome people on this one.
Yes, this is a very nice photo of some good-looking folks. This is Leo Klessig, the cheesemaker, and Amelia Kolb Klessig, his wife, and Evelyn Jens is the daughter, Evelyn. And Evelyn just died recently, a couple years ago. She was 105 years old.
Really? Isn't that something?
And I went to see her when she was 103, oldest person I've ever met. And in the nursing home in Manitowoc, and her mind was kind of going, you know, I tried to get some information out of her, and we talked about some old times. She didn't even remember my dad, but she remembered my grandfather.
Okay.
So she goes, you know, she went back pretty far. She was born before the turn of the century.
Now, is she the lady that had the oven, that oven brick, whatever they call it, outside oven where they bake bread in? When she moved to the village?
You know, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the
Really?
lady that
She
said
did?
that-
Okay.
No, she lived right next door to my folks, in-laws, Mila Klessig.
A lady here who has a bit of more information pertaining to someone from that picture. Go right ahead, please.
Amelia Klessig was a neighbor of my mother-in-law, Emma Litzy. And
Okay.
they lived on Linden Street, and the house is still there.
Okay.
Both houses are still there, but they were right next door to each other.
Okay, very good, thank you.
And that was in about 1940 when they moved here.
All right, thank you. Retrain you all over.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we got here,
Because
please?
of this is Dorothy Anderson, and I've
Thank
got
you.
a question about this. I don't think this was the Stoltenberg store that burnt down. This is some other store because of
Edwards.
Huh?
Edwards.
Yeah.
Edwards.
Oh, really?
So there was somebody named Stolzen with a Z.
The old Mutzelberg store.
Ah,
Henry Zacco from Edwards says that this was the Edwards store run by his grandmother, Mrs. Stoltenberg. So because the place that burnt down was much bigger than this.
Okay, all right.
would you say that one more time, Dorothy? Just so we got that clear. There was a Stoltenberg involved here, though.
Well, yeah, there must be.
Stoltenberg, it's Stolzen.
Oh, really? Oh, we got to get that
It's
cleared
run
up.
by his grandmother, Mrs. Stoltenberg. I don't know. But anyhow, the store that burnt down in Cleveland and now it was rebuilt is much bigger than this.
Okay. So this came from Edwards,
Yeah.
okay, which is located on what highway? 42? 42? Now, Marie, you're saying there's a different spelling of the, we call it Stoltenberg, but you say it's Stolzenberg?
It's spelled with a Z on there, spelled.
Okay.
Can you see it enough to spell it, Dorothy?
S-T-O-L. Yeah. D-Z. E-N-B-U-R-G. Nothing in front.
It's on the store, I think.
Oh.
It says it on the front.
Oh, yeah, S-T-O-L-Z-E-N-B-U-R-G. That's
Very good.
different.
Very good. Okay, so we're out of the Stoltenberg. thing.
Yeah.
We're in Stolzen.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. We got a young lady here who has some information besides what was shown on pictures, but she'd like to present it. Go right ahead.
I'm Alice Mathias. I had a question on Amelia Klessig. I
Okay.
wondered if she was the lady that had the outside oven, and they said no, it was Elvina Bourne. But years back, I know where that Amelia lived. Willie's sister and her husband, when they first got married, they lived upstairs from Amelia Klessig, and she was Dorothy just loved that lady.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good.
So-
And what street was this?
That was on Linden.
Linden
And
Street?
I think right now, don't the Jensens live in that house?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, Roger Jensen.
Very good. Thank you very much.
You're
huh?
welcome.
Good. Okay, I've got a young lady here who says there's something that she knows of a relative perhaps on this picture. Go right ahead, please.
This is Dorothy Anderson, and at the depot here, this man back in here looks like my father, and the one sitting up in front looks like my
Okay.
mother, and that's just about the age they would have been about that time.
All right, we're going to have to get in there nice and close on that, and I'll let you point out one more time with your finger.
My father back here,
Yes.
and my mother down here.
Okay.
But they were a lot different in age then. I don't think they went together or anything then yet.
Okay. Oh, very good. Thank you, Dorothy. Got a gentleman here. He'd like to introduce himself. Go right ahead, please.
Hi, Jerry Leonard. I would like to have her clarify something. She said that looks about the age they would have been at that time, but nobody seems to know what date the picture has. So what time would that have been?
Okay. Good. Thank you.
So
Could you introduce yourself, please?
This is Dorothy Anderson, and it looks like some of my relatives are on this picture at the depot.
Yes.
And that might have been around 1910 or something, because my mother was married in 1918.
All right.
And that have been about 8 years before that or so.
I'm still awed by the clothing those people wore. They really dressed up when they did something with those hats and dresses. It looked very nice.
Oh, my aunt way back wouldn't go to anywhere unless she had her hat on and stuff.
Well, that was tradition. Thank you. We have a gentleman here who is presenting some pictures this evening. He'd like to indicate that.
Richard Wiegand. The first comment I want to make is for Dorothy's sake, we should get a copy of that made, and then you should try to identify people on there if you can. Well, we'd like to know who's on there, and when it was. So that'll be your homework assignment coming out of this meeting. Okay.
Another thing here, with the mill, this is taken from the east, from the lake, looking west.
Looking west.
Yeah, Dorothy.
Dorothy Anderson. This picture of the mill
Yes.
is looking from the lake side going west, and that's from Hika Bay Park, looking west.
Oh, okay.
See, there's the road, the bridge. That bridge is still there,
Oh, yes. Okay.
and
Very good. Well, thank you very much, Dorothy. Okay, we got a gentleman who has some more ancient pictures, I'll call it.
Okay, Richard Egan, and this is a picture of, looks like corn cobs, I guess, on there.
Okay.
And there's nobody, it doesn't say who they are, but the person on the left, I'm pretty sure, is Ned Hahn, my uncle, and the other one would be Ed Klessig.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this would be back in the 30s probably.
Okay. Very good, thank you.
Read the bottom what it says, how
I
the,
didn't look at it.
Okay, got a gentleman here who would like to read a caption, I believe, on this picture. Go right ahead, please.
Jerry Leonard, the picture of a load of corn. It says corn picked by an Armstrong corn picker. I don't know if they meant Armstrong, that the Armstrong of the Pearson. A hook was strapped on the palm of your hand. We'd throw the corn against the long boards and it would fall into the wagon. We'd make 2 loads a day from 80 rod rows. The wagon would double for hauling cheese. They didn't know how to recycle in those days too.
Boy, can you describe that again? What are they really saying with this, that hand thing?
I have seen pictures and it's
Okay,
like a,
tell us.
okay, it's a protector that they put on because if anybody's ever picked corn and you do it in the fall and the weather is like it is today, it's hard on the hand, so they would just be able to kind of, was a hand protector. They would just get it and hook it on there and they would just fling it. Is that about right or not?
Okay, thank you. And we have a gentleman who would like to identify himself. Go right ahead, please.
Dave Cole. The outfit you're talking about for picking corn, it was a leather thing that's kind of strapped over your hand, and it had a little metal hook on it, and you would kind of bend the ear down, and then you would use that to pull the husks back, so you got all the husks off before you threw it in the wagon.
Oh, really?
It was not so much to protect your hand, but you had to strap this hook to your hand to pull the husks off.
Holy cow. Well, that was Armstrong, all right.
Your attention.
Yes, it's great, great.
That was just for the cobs, not for the stock.
You know where this picture was taken? Well, the lady next to me said they'd have been better off putting it in the barn. If this was taken in South Dakota, that's the way they stored their hay out there. And the cattle stayed out all winter, and they would just come up to the haystack to feed, so they didn't put it in the barn.
Wow. Can you show us that picture one more time,
sure.
just so we recall that? Okay, so if this is out in South Dakota or whatever, they would do this type of storage.
They still do a lot of it out there that way.
Okay.
Just put it in a pile in the field, and the cattle come to the pile to eat,
All
rather
right.
than storing it in a barn like we do around here.
Yeah, yeah. Very good. Thank you very much.
what is the purpose of that? Is it a fork?
That's a stacker. It would come down, and you would hook it into the loose hay, and then they would lift it up and swing it around and dump it on the pile, and
Okay.
back and forth like that.
All right. Thank you. Very good. Okay, we got a gentleman, I don't know him.
I'm Charlie Bauer,
Yes,
and
sir.
I was just looking at these old pictures here.
Yes.
And in this one here, you can see that the guy standing next to the elevator where they're trashing here is putting the grain in the bags, and all these bags
Oh.
are stacked here.
Yes, yes.
Now,
okay.
on this one here, they're also trashing, but they have another tractor set up here with a belt power, and the grain is coming out of the trash machine into this little blower, and this pipe takes it right to the granary by blower power.
Oh, okay. No bags involved at all?
No bags at all, right? Less handling.
Very good. Thank you, Charlie. Okay, I got a lady who has her hand up. That's a good sign. I like that.
I'm Alice Mathias. I'd like to ask Charlie, what was the date difference? Would that have been 20 years apart when they did it that way? He doesn't know. I have no idea. Okay.
Very good.
I was just interested in
Yeah.
when the time frame, or
Sure.
what the time frame was.
Very good. Thank you. Got a gentleman here who has some information in regard to those thrashing pictures. Go right ahead, please.
Melvin Yee, and they talk about these different pictures because in South Dakota they didn't have barns like we had here. And here, a lot of places they stored the grain in the barn before they threshed it, and then later on threshed it and blew it out on the stack.
Okay. All right. very good, thank you. Yes,
Did that
Frank.
picture ever come around?
We got a gentleman here had his hand up, that's, I'd like to see that, go right ahead, please.
I'm Fred Jacoby, and I know a little bit about harvesting in South Dakota because my mother grew up in South Dakota. Her father homesteaded in South Dakota in 1906, and there wasn't a tree in miles. And finally, he built a barn in 1916 and ordered the lumber at a lumber yard in the county seat, and it came in freight cars from the state of Washington. And then the barn, of course, was not large. It was not designed to hold a bunch of cattle and store virtually no feed. It was just a place to, I don't know if they did the little bit of milking because they separated the milk, you know. They didn't sell liquid milk. They separated it, had the cream in that.
Okay.
And so that's the way it was. There were no trees.
And this was some relatives out there, you said, of your wife?
My mother grew up there.
Oh, your mother, okay.
She moved from Iowa. Her family moved from Iowa to South Dakota in 1906. Okay. The land was open for homesteading at that time.
Could I have your mother's name, please?
My mother was Babette Jacoby.
Okay.
And her name was Nagel before that.
All right.
Nagel.
All right, very good, thank you. I'll have this gentleman identify himself, go right ahead.
Richard Wiegand. I've got two photos taken at the same time, I presume, of the St. Peter's Lutheran Church on Union Road up by the Saxon Cemetery. And this would have been, it says on the one that it was torn down in 1924, which is probably right. And there's an electric line going in front of the church, so I don't know when the electricity came through, but you know, it was somewhere in between that and the time it was taken down.
And the name of that church again was what?
St. Peter's.
St. Peter's, okay.
Lutheran Church.
All right. And the cemetery is still there?
Cemetery is Saxon Cemetery. It was never a church cemetery that we know of, but the cemetery we've learned was called God's Little Acre. I think it has been an independent cemetery ever, from day one. And I think the church was established in 1853, I believe, and the cemetery, I think, was there in maybe 1851.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Pass these around.
Okay, I got a young lady who'd like to identify herself.
Kathy Sixel.
Yes.
And we just looked at St. Peter Church or the Saxon Church. Where was the school? On which side?
The school is farther to the north.
To the north.
Yeah.
The north of the church. The church was.
It's not attached. It's not part of the church.
Okay, the little school that's down in Hika or down in Cleveland. That's what I mean.
Okay.
Okay.
The first, Richard Wiegand, the first school that was on that premises where Pleasant Hill School, the red brick building was a log, apparently was a log building, was replaced in the 1870s with a clapboard building, which is now the Yost Tin Shop. And in 1917, when this current red brick building was built, then Willie Taple bought that building and moved it next to his hardware store in Cleveland. That was Taple that moved the building, because he owned it at that time. So the school that was in the middle in the time period is the one that's in the village of Cleveland now, the wooden frame store.
And it's located on what street, please?
West Washington Street, on the east side of the bigger warehouse, or on the west side of Pauley's Palace.
Oh, okay. Very good.
That was a Saxon school, and Ed Klessig told me that it used to be called Saxon School, and then he said World War I don't know, maybe it was World War I or World War II. They changed the name to Pleasant Hill because Saxon had some negative connotation. We were fighting against the Germans, so we had to get rid of all of some of these German names. So it became Pleasant Hill School.
Okay, very good, thank you. Yes, sir?
Richard Wiegand again, and this is another this is they're cutting grain. And these are three neighbors, Kurt Wiegand, Ottowegen, and Walter Klessig. And it's pretty hard to tell who they are on there, but I think they are in that order because of, the size and the age and what we looked at this with a magnifying glass yesterday, but that would be Kurt Wiegand, and Ottowegen, his older brother. Otto was my grandfather, and then Walter Klessig.
Okay.
And haven't quite figured out yet which farm this is on. It's one of the 4 farms
Okay.
in the background.
Very good. That's
And it's
high production.
1930.
1930.
3 binders in a row.
Okay. Good.
Everybody working together.
Thank you.
Gary.
The gentleman here had his hand up. Go right ahead, please.
Melvin Yealy, and when Richard was talking about this name, Saxon School was changed in World War I time.
Mm-hmm.
In the northern part of the county here, there was a German Lutheran church that was burned down by the Bohemians.
Was burned down by what?
Burned down by the Bohemians.
You're kidding.
Now, where was that church, please?
Must have been east of Kellersville somewhere.
Okay. Okay, very good, thank you. Okay, I got a gentleman here who'd like to identify himself.
Yeah, this is Richard Wiegand again, and I'm going to refer to Melvin's point about the Bohemians burning the church. In World War II, Bohemia would have been part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and they were allied with Germany in the war. And that empire broke apart after the war. But in World War II, the Bohemians, the Sudetenland is what Germany called it. Hitler forcibly took that piece of Czechoslovakia and annexed it to Germany. That would have been a cause of some hostility. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it might have been World War I, but, there's a good reason it could have been World War II. So,
Okay, very good.
okay, Richard Wiegand.
Yes, sir.
This is a picture around 1890 of the Hika Bay Tavern. And some folks out in front, and maybe Dorothy Anderson can recognize all of them when it gets around to her. Around 1890. I wonder, was Hugo Sherry running the place already then? It's possible. I don't know.
Okay.
He ran it for
68 years, I think.
And as far as the location of this tavern on the street or something like that?
This is Lincoln Avenue, just up a couple blocks from Lake Michigan to the west.
Okay, all right. And, okay. And the owners of this place, was it a constant owner or was there a change in ownerships?
Well, it's been a change of ownership, but but Hugo Sherry owned this. I think he had 68 consecutive licenses in his name. If I remember right, you can go there and ask the people who run it, they might know. So, well, I don't get all my facts right, but
Very good, thank you.
The first place west of my house.
Yeah, so you should know, because you spend a lot of time there, right? Here we go.
Okay.
This is the school. This is the Saxon School.
Okay.
The wooden building that's now on the east side of the big warehouse that belongs to Yost.
Okay.
This was the Saxon School, and I think the date on here is 1896.
Okay.
That's what they put on there, and I'm not going to read what's on there, but there'd be some people on there that'd be related to me. They're from my area, but I didn't go through and see if I can figure out who any of them are, but that'd be something we could maybe work on.
Okay, very good. When did that school get removed from that location?
1917.
Okay.
Because there's a thing on the side of the school that says 1917 on the red brick building.
Okay. Got a gentleman here who would like to add a little bit of information to the picture.
Yes, Charlie Bauer, and we were talking earlier about this utility pole here, and on the other photograph here, you can see it, there's actually 6 wires that come across. So we know that's not a power line. It would
Okay.
have to be a telephone line, but that don't help us date the picture much.
Okay.
The window that's taken down.
Just 1924 was taken down.
Well, the
Okay.
current didn't come through till just about that time, a little bit later.
But if you look real close here, you can count the 6 wires.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Charlie.
There weren't any dead crows hanging
No,
out.
no upside down crows, no.
Okay, so we're saying it was telephone?
Telephone line, right.
Okay,
Yep.
very good. Thank you. Gentleman here who says he has a question. Go right ahead, please.
Dave Cole.
Yes, sir.
Looking at this picture of the Saxon Church, it's titled, The True Saxon Church. Does that mean anything?
Okay.
only to the Klessigs. I think they put the title on there.
Oh,
I think
okay.
that what they mean, that the type of woodwork would make it a true Saxon building.
Okay.
All right.
I didn't know if it had to do
Yeah.
with religion or,
No, no,
okay.
Yeah. Very good
It's
question.
the building they're talking
Yeah,
about,
no,
not
it's not
the-
a cult or anything.
Okay, well, that's, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Very good question. Good. We've got a gentleman here who has some knowledge in regard to structures. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, Charlie Bauer, and the architecture style of the church is Greek Revival, and you can see the two columns that come up here.
Okay.
And actually, they're just fake columns. They're called pilasters. You also have a return eave on here.
Okay.
And over the doorway, you have this pediment, this triangle-shaped pediment, and this are all features of the Greek style, the Greek Revival architecture.
Super, Charlie. Very good. Thank you.
I'm glad somebody is looking at these things.
Richard,
Yeah.
did you see the beer sign on here?
Okay, we've got a young lady here who would like to identify herself, and she's going to have some information. Go right ahead, please.
Kathy Wagner, and I have this article here that says the Hika Bay Tavern was operated by the Shearer family from 1899 until 1972.
1899 to
Till
1972. Okay, great. All right, so that was that ownership all the way through those whole years there.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Right ahead, please.
Hello, my name is Kathy Pierce. I'm a former resident of Cleveland for 22 years.
Okay.
And a Thanksgiving tradition would be everyone standing around carving the turkey, picking at it.
Picking at it. Everybody gets into the act, huh?
That's right.
Okay, very good. Thank you. A gentleman here would like to identify himself, please.
Yeah, Richard Wiegand. This is a picture of the Ed Klessig farm. This would have been probably, this is before 1930 because they built the brick house on the farm in 1930 and they have a wooden house here.
Okay.
I noticed that the cheese factory down here does not have a stone or brick portion, and maybe it's off the picture here someplace. What I like about this photo is they're using all these rail fences. I
Yes.
don't know what you call that style, you know, where you go like this. And Shafransky across the road put rail fences in like that when he bought the Gupsh farm across the road.
Okay. What, where would the photographer have been standing, and what direction are we looking, if you can indicate that, please?
There's a huge garden here too. On the, well, this would have been probably the Willie Gupsh farm. He would have been the owner of that at that time. We're probably on top of his barn, or there was a shed on the front of the barn, or on top of the house, looking down.
Looking down. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
So-
Yeah, the gentleman here will identify himself one more time, please.
Richard Wiegand, and this is taken from the other side of the road.
Okay.
This would have been on top of one of the Klessig buildings, looking over toward the Gupsh house, which is Raven's Nest, Shafransky now. And again, the cheese factory is on here, and then there's another house down here that's across the road, where Steve Koenig lived for a number of years.
And the road again, please?
Union Road.
Union Road, okay. Very
I'm
good.
not sure what the year is on this. I might mention that what is the Shafransky farm now was the Gupsh farm for about 60 years, 65 years. Before that, it was the Carl Hamann farm.
All right, the Gupsh farm, could you give the first name of Gupsh farm?
William and
William,
Elmer.
oh.
Elmer was the son. Elmer and Norma lived there.
Okay.
And John Neiman was Norma's husband. They all lived there at one point.
Okay. Thank you.
And Louise was Mrs. Gupsh. I remember her, the elderly lady at that time. That was Willie Gupsh died in 1944.
Okay.
William. Before that, this was the Carl Hamann farm, and Carl Hamann was the younger brother of my ancestor, Frederica Hamann Mavis Wiegand. So she was the older sister of Carl Hamann, and she was married to Mavis, and he died, and Wiegand came and married her. So there was a brother and a sister next door to one another. So this was the Hamann farm. The Hamanns left here in about 1906, and they moved over to Town Mosel on Dairyland Drive, across from Archie Brass, the Brass farm there. Dorothy Brass she was a Hamann from across the road there.
Okay, thank you.
Richard
Okay.
Wiegand?
Yes, sir.
some more of Dorothy's friends. This is the Hika Bay Tavern on the inside.
Can you tip it slightly
I'll
toward the
tip
front?
it this way a little bit.
Yes.
And I think, what does it say on there, 1890 or so again? I can't read it.
Yeah, 1890, yes. Sir.
Yeah, and it says on here, I'm going to read this, it says here, where no decent women dare go up to the bar. It also said that beer was 5 cents a glass, and that there was no chairs in the place so that people didn't loiter and get too drunk or something.
Oh, really?
There were no chairs in the place.
No chairs, and no women went up to the bar, huh?
No women went up to the bar.
Boy.
Well, they weren't allowed in the bar.
They weren't allowed, no.
No, and not on, and not on
They wouldn't
the,
stay
at the
upstairs.
bar either, they had to sit at the back on tables and so, around tables, not on tables, around tables.
This was given to the Klessigs by Loretta from Hika Bay Tavern. Was there a Loretta there? We're not talking about Loretta Wimler, are we? And it says on the back here, Civil War Veterans Reunion, maybe, question mark, Lake Michigan shoreline. I'm wondering if this wasn't some event at the Point Creek Park, given the topography of the area at the time. You know, we'll pass it around the table, but there's a bunch of people here with tents pitched.
Yeah.
And it looks like it could be a Centerville type picture, so.
Okay.
Please comment.
Should we break down right there?
I'll do one more picture.
Okay, got a gentleman here who has another picture to let us enjoy. Go right ahead, please.
This is a photograph, two photographs actually, of the insides of the two Lutheran churches. And I believe that this was in your publication, Kathy Wagner, in that Centerville, Cleveland Centerville history. I don't remember, I've seen this.
Inside of what?
Inside of your book, the one that you did in the 70s.
What's the picture of the inside of what?
Inside of the two Lutheran churches, St. Peter and St. John.
Yeah, that was,
I thought I saw it somewhere, but
either that or another book then.
Could you point out which picture is what, please?
yeah, the one on the top is St. John in Hika,
Okay.
in Cleveland, and it says that the dates of existence were 1860 to 1923.
Okay.
And the one at the bottom is St. Peter, which was that Saxon church we were talking about, and it says the dates were 1863 to 1923.
Okay.
So the church opened later than I thought it did. These churches didn't start until the 1860s.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. We got a lady here who would like to make a comment on a picture she's holding. Go right ahead, please.
This is Dorothy Anderson, and in here,
Yes.
on this little sign, it says, Gartsky Brothers Brewing Company, Lager Hager. The brewing company, or the brewery, was a block away,
Oh.
and that was my grandpa's brewing company. And
Okay.
they were selling that in this tavern.
Now, when you say a block away, which direction are we going?
Well, you go to the end of this block, which would be west of half a block, and then south a block.
Okay, and what street is that on again, please?
This is on Lincoln.
Lincoln. Okay, and then you turn which way?
You turn south,
South?
and then you get to Washington, and the corner of Washington and that street. That's where the brewery was.
Okay.
There's only a hole now in the ground.
Okay. That's all that's left, huh?
Yeah, there's a few, up on top of the hill there's some stones.
Okay. Now, did you have relatives in both places?
No, not in, well, yeah, it was the guards, no, not in the tavern, just in the brewery.
Okay, could you repeat that one more time? Who was in the brewery from your relatives?
My grandpa came out from Milwaukee and got into this brewery and started, it was running already, but it burnt down one time and then they built it up again.
Okay.
And they ran the brewery.
And what was his full name?
Gus Gartsky.
Say one more time.
Gustav Gartsky, G-A-R-T-Z-K-E.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you. Very good. Got a couple little additive information you want to put to this picture? Go right ahead, please.
I'm Dorothy Anderson, and this is the Sure, well, which was later on the Sure Tavern, and behind it was, I can't remember, what do you say? Delivery station. Oh, a delivery, Up on top was a hotel, and there was
Okay.
a livery stable behind where the
Okay.
people kept their cars, horses. and-
Horses.
Horses and wagons, and I guess that's it.
Okay.
Walter, any more?
Tell them about.
Okay, we're still talking about the tavern, and we didn't drink a drop yet, but. Yeah.
Boats would come up from on Lake Michigan, and then the
Oh.
people would stay at this tavern,
Okay.
at the hotel.
Yes,
And
okay.
it wasn't a tavern, it was a saloon.
It was a saloon.
Yeah.
All right. And room-wise, did they have quite a few rooms up there?
I guess so. I think there were several.
Okay. Now, there was maybe I'll go by Wally for just a minute. He talked about a dance hall. Okay, I'll talk to Wally.
Okay, you talk.
Okay, I got a gentleman here who would like to talk about some buildings that surrounded this particular tavern. Go right ahead, please.
This was the tavern, and back of the tavern, Dorothy, we should start out Walter Kress.
Yes, great. Good job, Wally.
This was the tavern, and back of the tavern was the barn where they stored the horses and that.
Yes.
And to the west of that was the dance hall.
Okay.
That is no longer there.
Do you know the name of the dance hall or who ran it?
I don't know, but it was connected with the
Oh, it was connected with the
tavern.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you.
Information, but question. This Mr. Gartsky that you were talking about, the Standard Oil man in Kiel was a Gartsky. I think his first name was Ed. He often told me about the brewery down there, and then he also told me that the Whitties had a brick factory down there, and nobody has mentioned that tonight. I was kind of surprised, but I don't know really anything about it. And Mr. Gartsky, he's a little bit older than I was, and he knew I was always interested in all of that. And he mentioned too that at one time Hika had a bigger port than Sheboygan. More ships came into Hika at one time than Sheboygan.
Oh.
But Sheboygan got the railroad earlier, and well, that kind of put the end to all of that. So if anyone can enlighten me on it, I sure would be interested to know some more about that.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. Okay, we got a gentleman here. Go right ahead, please.
Melvin Yannick, talking about the port in Hika Bay. There was a store out, there was a pier out, and there was a store on the end of the pier, and they could turn around with the wagons and the horses on there.
It was wide enough for that.
Yes.
Holy cow. Yeah, that'd be kind of difficult to back them all the way from the end of the pier, I'll tell you. Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, we have a young lady who's been the prime mover here, I guess I'll call it, along with her partner, and maybe they'd like to tell us a little something on this new meeting we've been having.
The Greater Centerville Historians have been going for 5 years. Richard Wiegand named it, the organization. And our first meeting was at Hika, and it was in the Red Arrow School by Kathy Pierce and Chris Cannell. The people that were there were Florence and Wally Kress, Richard Wiegand, Diana Coe, myself,
Was I there?
Dorothy Anderson.
Really?
I think that's how we started, and so and we
Around that
continued
table.
around it. We had a round table, and we all sat around, and Kathy had refreshments out, and it was a very wonderful evening. And that's how we kept spiraling bigger and bigger, and it's been good. It's really been good, and I really appreciate everybody for coming, and we've got such nice information. I watched the tape from last month, and I was surprised at some of the stories that were on there because it was of the Cleveland Bank, and I always thought the first stock meeting was at Bailitz's hardware store, but on the tape it says no, it was at Wimler's Tavern. So, you know, that makes it clear, and she read it right out of the minutes, so that was nice to hear that. So, okay, it's time to break now. Richard, what would you like to say?
Let's get something to eat.
Got a young lady here, and she has a distinctive honor of being the first-time member of the Greater Centerville Historians, but she'd like to give us more information. Go right ahead, please.
I'm Kathy Pearson. I've lived in this area for almost 25 years, and the first meeting of the Greater Centerville Historians was at the Red Arrow Schoolhouse, which I'm an owner of.
Oh, wonderful.
Right down in Hika Bay, built in
Wonderful.
1848.
Great. Thank you very much. And who do I have here, please?
Richard Ottowegen, and I'm a native of this area, and I no longer live here. I live in Spooner, Wisconsin, but I make some of the meetings. And I and Kathy Sixel were the sort of the inspiration to start this group.
Okay. Okay, and who do we have here, please?
I'm Kathy Sixel, and I've been in this area 48 years. I came from near Kiel.
Okay.
And this group really started when we had the 150th centennial for the township. And Richard came to my house and we looked at the pictures, and there were so many wonderful photos, and we thought we should capture the history. And we picked the committee trying to figure out who were the eldest seniors and what they all knew. One moment. Was Marie Pickard there? Yes.
I don't remember.
Marie, weren't you along with us too? The first meeting? You weren't. You're
Shame
sure?
On you. Shame on you.
I think you were. You get up here and get in the picture. You don't think so? Not the first one.
Okay.
Okay. And, well, that's about all I have to say, and this has been a huge success, and I'm just so thankful for all the people who participate, and I hope it keeps going.
I hope so, too. And who do you have here, please?
I'm Dorothy Anderson, and I live down in Hika. And I was born and raised in the house that I live in now.
Okay.
Went to Milwaukee and went to Madison and to Milwaukee and back there. And what else do you want to know?
Anything.
And you were at the first meeting also?
Yeah, I was at the first meeting.
And that got you interested in this?
Yes, and very nice to have this.
Very good.
And you went to school.
Oh, and I went to school in the school where we
you
met
did?
the first time.
Well, wonderful.
Yeah,
Super.
Walter did too.
Okay, Wally, tell us about that, too.
I'm Walter Chris.
Yes, sir.
And I lived in Hika, and I went to school too at that Red Arrow School. And my wife was along with me at
Yes.
the first meeting.
Right.
She's no longer with us.
Okay, what was your wife's name, please?
Florence.
Thank you. Well, we certainly are grateful to you group here for getting us started into something that turned out great. And we do have 5 years of recording, so there's a lot of information ready to be stored and enjoyed by a lot of people. So we do thank you again for starting it all up, and we'll hope for good luck in the future. Thank you.
And thank you. Yep, and thank you, Jerry.
Thank you. Very good.
Jerry, the
Okay.
second meeting, we
All right.
decided, I have talked to you about it in church, and we thank you for your, everything that you do for this organization. Without you, it wouldn't be anything.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I enjoyed myself. Okay, I got a gentleman here who'd like to announce something.
Yes, I'm Charlie Bauer, and we just enjoyed a delicious lunch that Mrs. Sixel prepared for us, and I think we should give her a great big round of applause.
Oh, very good, Kevin. Good job. Good job. We thank you so much. Thanks, Charlie. Okay, I'm going to try and catch up to the young lady here, and we've got a continuation for a few moments, I believe, on the pictures that are being presented by Mr. Wiegand. Anything else you'd like to say at this point, Kathy, in regard to our little festival that we have here?
Well, I enjoyed cooking today.
Oh, you did?
You know, and I do like to cook.
Oh, it was
so
delicious.
Put things together.
Very unique and very tasty.
And I hope everybody enjoyed it too. And thank you again for coming so many years.
Very good.
Okay, Richard, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Stuff here.
Okay, that's, let me get down there a little bit. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go.
Richard Wiegand.
Yes, sir.
And this is another picture of the Klessig farm, also called Saxon Homestead these days. There's a nice picket fence around the house on this one. They seem to be changing their fences all the time around those places. But and there's a stone silo in the picture that was built in 1901. And our stone silo on our farm was built in 1900. And I did a silo article for the Manitowoc County Historical Society back in 1989. And I went all around the county taking pictures of silos. And I couldn't find one that was older than 1900 than our silo. There may have been one, but I couldn't get any that were dated older. I have since, of course, discovered that I've missed a few interesting silos around, including the one at L and Voss's, the one that's built inside of the barn across the road there, and I've got photos of that now too. But anyway, so this silo is dated 1901, and I know that ours was built in 1900. We have some documents on that. So just to get off on silos. Okay. Let's see here, I don't know what's older. Yes, this is the oldest one.
Okay, it looks like a document.
I've got 4 documents in a row. They're all different things. This is the birth certificate for Friedrich August Klessig. He was born in 1830 in Germany, in Saxony. And so it's all in German, of course, and you guys can read it at your pleasure.
If somebody can read that and translate it, I'd like to hear it.
I could do a little bit of it, but I'm not going to try.
Thank you. Okay.
This is the confirmation certificate for Elizabeth Wagner, the wife. And she was in Germany, and let's see, it was she was born in 1824, 24, 29, 20, I don't know what it is. Confirmed in 1843.
Okay.
So it must have been 29 or something, so it's a little hard to read.
Mm-hmm.
So this is confirmation.
And that's also in German.
That's in German.
And what area of Germany is that again from?
They were Saxon also. So
Okay.
it's that southeast corner between Dresden and Leipzig and Chemnitz. There's an area there, it's Saxony.
All right.
7 of my ancestors, my 16, are from that area.
Okay.
This is a passport. For Friedrich August Klessig. I don't know if it's, passports you usually think are little things. Maybe the documents were huge, or this is blown up or something
Okay.
like that. But
All
this
right.
is
This would be a passport
This
for
is
them to come from Germany to...
yeah, this is for traveling outside of Germany. It's the way it's worded is Reisepass für das Ausland, for going outside of. Somebody may have a better translation of that.
Okay, good.
So that's a passport.
Okay. Now, I got one more question with Saxon is, I've heard in my mother when she was German, talking German, they talked High German, Low German. What, does that have any factor in this location?
Yeah, Low German was from the north, the lowlands of Germany.
Okay.
And it's also called Plattdeutsch or Plattdeutsch, I think is the way they pronounce it, because I met a Low German one time and he said Deitsch. Funny way to say it, but. And then High German is from like Bavaria and Baden, in the south, from the higher areas, from the Alps.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's the way it went. There's a kind of classical standard German that they have now, and I believe that was Luther's German when he translated the New Testament and distributed it, with Gutenberg's press or with the printing press. That became sort of the standard German, and he was from more in the middle of the country.
Okay.
This is a naturalization certificate for Friedrich August Klessig, and this would have been in English. It's in English. It's in the United States, of course.
Okay.
And I think he didn't do it until 1874. You didn't have to do this immediately when you came into the country. In fact, I think a lot of the first generation people didn't even get these. You couldn't vote, I believe, without it.
Okay.
It was kind of like getting citizenship.
All right.
Or it was the step towards citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a naturalization paper.
Now, today's regulations are that you have to have that all in one time?
No, there's, green card, permanent residency, temporary, there's tourism, all that, student visas and whatnot. But in order to vote, you have to have a citizenship. You have to go through the swearing in.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
I
Yes, Kathy.
have a comment to add.
Yes.
Talking about swearing in, I have a grandson from the Ukraine. He's 26 years old, and he was 13 when he came here, and he's going to become a citizen on Saturday. He's going to be naturalized on Saturday down in Milwaukee.
Oh,
so we have very exciting news. So
yeah.
You only hope that the draft doesn't open up for him. He's in that age.
Yeah, well, we done, yeah. And that is from the Ukraine, you say?
He was from the Ukraine. He was adopted by my daughter, Diane Steffen, and his name is Ivan Steffen.
Okay. very good, thank you.
By the way, the draft will catch them if he's, yeah, citizen or not. Because I was in with a lot of guys that were not German, were not naturalized citizens yet, but they had German citizenship. But
Oh,
as
really?
soon as they get out, they'll get U.S. citizens.
Oh, okay.
Another enticement to join.
And that was only agreement between Germany and U.S.
Oh, okay.
Switzerland was altogether different again.
Oh.
Okay, Richard Wiegand, I did actually attend one of these swearing-in ceremonies in Milwaukee some years ago for somebody that I knew. So it was quite something. It's very nice, very pleasant, you know, very easy. You know, and the judge, you know, welcomes these new people. There were like 30 of them in the room. And it was very, very wonderful. This is a photograph from 1940. They're putting shingles on the barn at Klessig. And I think what's equally interesting here is there's a panoramic view of the village of Cleveland again. And the St. Wendel Church is on there, and the Kerber farm, you can see that on there. It's not real clear, but you can see what those things are. So if anybody wants to see the
Fox at that time.
Fox? Well, this was in 1940 though.
Hold on, then it
Kerber was there. So.
Okay, got a gentleman who raised his hand. He'd like to identify himself.
Jerry Leonard.
Yes, sir.
That Kerber Fox Farm, that was my grandfather's farm, Albert Leonard. And he farmed that until probably in the 1920s, and then his daughter, my Aunt Agnes, married Albert, and they farmed it until, I think, late 38 or early 39, and then Kerber's bought it.
Okay.
But that's where my dad and all his siblings were born and raised, on that farm.
Now, this is on Union Road?
No, that's on the extension of West Washington.
Okay.
On the north, on the west side of.
Oh, yes.
Westview.
Westview.
All right.
The dead ends in there now.
Dead end there.
Yeah, but that was my grandfather.
Okay.
Didn't that barn burn in 39?
Yeah, it burned right shortly after the Kerbers moved there.
Huh.
So, yeah, that was my grandfather's place. And my grandmother was a Buckhouse from St. Nazians, from that whole Buckhouse clan.
Okay.
But she died at age 48 on a Sunday morning. She went upstairs to get dressed, and you heard a clump upstairs, and they went up there, and there she lay dead. And my youngest aunt, she just passed away now, just 2 weeks short of 90. She was 7 years old at that time. So.
Okay.
But that was the Albert Leonard farm. And he was the oldest of the Leonard family.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you, Jerry. Gentleman here who has another picture to provide.
Richard Wiegand, this is a photograph from North Dakota. Max Klessig was the Klessig that moved out there. I think what's kind of interesting is this is a Klessig gravestone, and it looks like there's a dollar sign on top of it. But
yes.
that is, who can tell me what that is? It's some kind of religious symbol. It's an S with 3 lines. Is it 3 lines?
Yes, it is.
3 lines through it, not just 1 or 2, you know, which would. But it looked to me when I saw it like a dollar sign.
Musical score?
No, I don't. No, she wouldn't know. That's. I don't know what. I've seen the symbol. I just don't remember where or what it is. You know, it's some old Latin or Greek thing.
Okay. So if anybody knows that, let me know. Okay. What do we got here?
This is a sow.
Okay.
This is a pig from the Klessig farm. And
huge.
And if you eat too much of this good food here, you're gonna maybe look like that. But I just thought I'd throw that in there. This is you know, this is it's a huge thing.
Yes.
It's a huge pig. It must be quite old actually for a pig. Anyway, pass that around.
And what is that, sir?
I feel kind of funny talking about the Klessigs when they're not here.
That's your new barn.
I just know too much about the, you know. But anyway, this is the current Saxon Homestead Klessig house. You know, it isn't just Klessig anymore because Jerry Heimroll is there, so there's a different name besides Klessig. Jerry is married to Elise Klessig, so they call it Saxon Homestead. I call it Klessig. But anyway, this house was built in 1930.
Okay.
And I believe it cost $8,000 at that time, which you could have bought a farm for easily. This was a fancy house. And Edwin Klessig put a time capsule in this house somewhere. I don't know that the family knows where it is, but Edward's father, put a time capsule in the house. That was some interesting thinking at that time because, you know, I don't know how long people have been doing time capsules. But, so somewhere in the wall in this house, there's some interesting stuff. There was a cost overrun on the house, and Edwin Klessig had to borrow some money. So he didn't, people I guess didn't borrow money from banks, I don't know, but he went down the road to Richard Lutzy and borrowed $1,000, I believe, and finished the project.
We were just married when Edward had to come and pay.
And I mean,
Okay, we were talking about borrowing some money, and this lady can give us her identification and fill us in, please. Go right ahead.
I'm Edith Lutzy, and I can remember we were just shortly married, and Edwin Klessig came over. He had to pay back that loan that he had gotten from my father-in-law because, like I said, the house must have cost more money than he figured.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah.
I could comment on.
Okay, could you identify yourself, please?
Fred Jacoby, about, Richard brought up the point about, I don't know how he put it, about it seems that they went to other neighbors or family or something. And that was quite common. Banks were not at all interested in financing. The banks didn't do those kind of things in those days.
Really?
Right.
Oh.
And it was usually some family member. And even when I was a young man, I knew people that still did that within their family or someone they knew well. And it was a matter of trust. And I suppose they had some papers written up, but when I was, the last ones that I can remember, banks were doing that. But I'm thinking back in the 20s, not. I don't know if I can't say they didn't do it at all, but generally loans were between families or neighbors or relatives.
Okay. Oh, very good, thank you. Go right ahead, please.
Changing the location here a little bit, we're back in Hika.
Okay.
And this is a picture of the St. George Church, Catholic Church in Hika. And this is where the priest lived. I don't know if that building is still there, I believe.
I don't know. Yeah.
So anyway, this was in the collection, so you know there's some Hika photos in here. I don't know if anybody, I've seen this before somewhere else. I don't know where, if it was again in your
I think
publication
yes,
or not.
it was.
But,
I think Kathy has that one.
yeah.
Okay, I've got a young lady who'd like to say a few words on regard to a picture. Go right ahead, please.
I'm Dorothy Anderson, and this brick home originally was for the priest to live in, I think, but my grandpa, my mother's folks moved out from Milwaukee, and he's the same one that had the brewery, and my mother was about 6 years old, and they moved into this brick house here then, and lived there.
Okay, very good.
Jerry
And that,
Hansen owns that now? Is it Jerry?
and what street is that on?
That's on Lincoln.
Lincoln?
Who put the third story on?
We've got a gentleman here who would like to say a few words in regard to this picture also. Go right ahead, please.
I'm Walter Kress, and in October 26th of 1946, Florence and I were married in that church.
Okay, and what's the name of that church?
St. George.
Okay.
One.
And is it still there?
No, it's been torn down.
Okay.
Torn down about 52, 53.
Okay, did it go to any other location or
Yes,
just?
the people went to St. Wendel then.
All right, okay. And you were married there and you started your life with that beautiful bride and?
Right.
Very good, thank you. Okay, we've got a gentleman with some pictures. Go right ahead, please.
Richard Wiegand. This is another photo of the Klessig cheese factory, and this is a photo from the inside of the cheese factory, and some people might take an interest in the molds or some of the equipment that's in there. So we'll just pass that around and see what people say.
And this again was located at what roads?
On Union Road at the Saxon Klessig farm.
Okay, thank you.
Is that stuff still?
Okay, we got another picture to be presented here.
This is the cheesemaker, Leo Klessig, and his wife Amelia, and this is apparently inside of their house, and he's sitting at a desk, and it looks like he's got some paperwork or something to do there. So this could have been in that Koenig house next to the Klessig farm there. I don't know. I haven't been in there, so.
Okay.
But it's an old picture.
Very good, thank you. Okay, we've got a gentleman here who has a picture in front of him. He'd like to talk about it.
This, Willard Matthias.
Thank you, Willard.
This, that they got here, you can see in the front here where it's dark, there had to be a hole here in the front where they put the wood in to heat this thing up.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have boilers at that time to get the milk to the right temperature.
Okay.
But I see this was a pretty modern factory because you can see on the top here that they already had the mechanism in to stir the milk because you can see these things in here.
Otherwise, if they didn't have that, what would you have to do?
By hand.
Well, you have to do it by hand.
Kept stirring it by hand.
Okay.
But I can see that they must have had that somewhere or another with what? I don't know how they. I don't think they had no electricity coming into that place at that time, but they must have cranked it by hand.
Well, they might have had their own power plant.
They had what?
They might have had their own power plant. There were a lot of them around
Oh, a
here.
generator with the engine? Oh, okay.
Batteries.
Oh, okay. All right, very good, thank you. Yeah, I've
This
got a
is,
gentleman here.
Richard Wiegand, and this is a Klessig family photo from Germany. It says Ernst Klessig and family, blah, blah, blah. This must be cousins of theirs or something. They moved to Illinois, some of the kids. And, you know, this would have been, well, I don't know, late 1800s or something like that. There's a fellow there with a pit helmet on, one of the German military. So
Very good.
pass that down.
Thank you. I've got a gentleman with a picture again he'd like to present. Go right ahead, please.
These are some more Klessigs, and they include, I'm just reading the people that are on here, Jerry Fisher, Eric Klessig, Fred Fisher, Lawrence Fisher, Kay Fisher, Orabel Fisher, Orabel Klessig Fisher, Edwin Klessig, Barbara Klessig, Edward Klessig, Heidi Klessig, and Margaret Kropp Klessig. So, yeah, anyway.
Thank you.
Heidi, she must be sitting on the top here. She was the second oldest one in the family. Heidi just died this year. Passed away. She passed away in Austria.
Okay, we've got a young lady here who would like to say some final words for us and perhaps indicate what our next meeting might be all about and that type of thing. Go right ahead, please.
I'm Kathy Sixel, and I want to thank Richard for bringing all the photos from the Klessig family. It was very nice of the Klessigs to share their photos, and it was very interesting. They have a wonderful collection. Our next meeting will be January 9th. We'll skip December. We're all too busy, and we're going to have Kathy Wagner be presenting the history of the village of Cleveland. Seeing that she was the village clerk for so many years, she should have a lot of information, and of course, we'll try to have it here again.
Okay, very good.
Okay, and again, everybody, thank you very much for all the support you've been giving me for all these years. So, and thanks for tonight.
Well,
Thank you,
I
Richard.
got to say thank you to Kathy also for keeping the postcards coming to everybody and keeping them abreast of what's happening and inviting them to these meetings too.
And I also want to thank our town chairman, Brian, for coming. That was very kind of him to take time out of his busy schedule.
Thank you. Okay, I guess you can sign off with your name, please.
Kathy Sixel.
Thank you. And who do you have here, please?
Richard Wiegand, and suggestions for future meetings, and I don't know how many of these I can make, but we've just haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg for Town Centerville yet. And so I think we have a lot more to meet about, in Town Centerville.
Okay.
And I think I was talking to Brian, and we were looking at some of the old maps of Centerville and plat maps and whatnot, and we could have a discussion on, the original families that started in Centerville, and also talk about century farms. There's some century farms and sesquicentennial farms now in the township, and I know a number of them, but not all of them. So.
Very good. Good project. And who do you have here, please?
Kathy Pierce.
Thank
That's
you.
all, folks.
That's all, folks. Thank you for coming. And who do we have here, please?
Jerry Leonard.
Thank you, Jerry.
Willard Matthias.
Thank you, Willard.
Alice Matthias.
Thank you, Alice.
Irene Dine.
Thank you, Irene.
Melvin Yiddish.
Melvin, thank you very much.
Fred Jacoby.
Fred, thank you.
Brian Kramer.
Brian, thank you for coming. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Ken
who do-
Brookson.
Thank you, Ken, for coming.
Judy Brookson.
Judy, thank you for coming. And who do you have here,
Kathy
please?
Wagner.
Thank you, Kathy.
Welcome.
Walter Chris.
Waller, thank you very much.
Dolores Chris.
Dolores, very good. Thank you.
Marie Pippert.
Marie, thank you also.
Dorothy Anderson.
Dorothy, thank you.
Enjoyed it very much tonight.
Thank you. Very good.
Charlie Bauer.
Charlie, thank you very much.
Edith Litzy, and I want to thank Kathy once more for the wonderful bunch.
Well, I agree. I agree very heartily. And who do you have here, please?
Dave Cole.
Dave, thank you also for coming. And again, this is Jerry O'Neill, also indicating I like to see all those faces out there next time around when the new year starts. So Kathy, I guess you can sign us finally off, okay?
Okay. I want to thank everybody, and we're going to put a story that Frederick Jacoby has on hold for next time because we're out of tape, and it's regarding corn husking.
Oh, really?
Quite interesting, yeah. So don't forget Frederick to enlighten us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
And a 2-minute turn. Top couple, sashay down. Sashay back. Wheel the set, our right arm turn, go once and a half. For the opposite sex, left arm turn. Right arm turn to the partner. Left to the next. Right to the partner. Here we go, round and round. Yeah, we got a good move from your hand. Turn out to the foot and sashay back. Down to the foot, down the outside. Major arch. Goes the nose, back to back, turn around you go. To your partner, right to the right arm turn. And a left arm turn the other way, but 2-man turn. Top tumble, sashay down. Sashay back. Wheel the set, a right arm turn, go once and a half to the opposite sex. Left arm turn. Or right arm turn. wheel will set our right arm turn go one side. Back to the next one. Turn right. Back to the next. Keep on going. Here we go. There we go. So we need 4 couples in each square. So get your partner, find 3 other couples, and square your sets. All right, that's the girl that you just had pick up the next. Stop on an 8. All back up, join your hands, circle left. Oh, shit, right, whole turn. Circle left, we get back home. Now and then left for the corner. Promenade your partner. Sitting on the sidelines, I think they'd like to get up and dance too, right? Okay, let's make a big circle, but you need a partner. You need a partner, make a big circle. Big circle, you got a partner. Make sure the girl is on the right-hand side and the boy is on the left-hand side. Join hands, you can close up the circle here. Okay. Looking pretty good. Getting a little, well, we'll get it uncrowded in a minute. Have them turn and face your partner and see how if it closes up at all. Turn and face your partner. The fellows are looking clockwise and the girls are looking counterclockwise, right? Okay. Now, does that make the circle any smaller or not? Pretty solid, isn't it? Maybe we should have a smaller circle in the middle. Okay. So we'll have some of the people make a circle in the middle. That way you got a little more space to move here. Great. Okay, now when you turn to face your partner, join both hands with her. And we're going to start with the lady's right foot, the man's left foot. And you're going to do a heel and a toe. And you're going to side, close, side. You're going to go into the middle. Okay, a couple of steps into the middle. Heel, toe, in you go. Okay? And that's how you step. Then you're going to take the other foot, that's the lady's left and the man's right. Heel, toe, out you go. Okay? And we're going to do the right foot again. Heel, toe, in you go. And now heel, toe, and only the ladies go out. So the ladies out. Okay, let go of your partner. Now we have the ladies on the outer circle, outer ring, and the men are in the inner ring. And you're going to march. Single file, about 8 steps. So go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Turn around, go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You should have marched back to your partner. Did you march back to your partner? So I'm looking in here, okay. Now as you come back to your partner, you are left sides to left sides, because now the ladies are looking, if they turn around and march back, the ladies are looking clockwise and the men are looking counterclockwise, right? So you get, and you come back up. Forward up to the middle again. Face your partner, here we go. Heel and toe, in you go. Heel and toe, out you go. Okay. So do it again. Heel and toe, in you go. Heel and toe out. Ladies out. Men in. March. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Turn back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn your partner left. 1 full time. Go to a new partner and swing. Put her on your right. Join hands in a big circle. Forward to the middle. Come back up. Forward again. Face your partner for heel and toe. Heel and toe. In you go. Heel and toe. Out you go. Heel and toe. In you go. Ladies out. March. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Turn around, go back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn your partner left. 1 full time around. Swing the next. Okay. Put her on your right. Make a circle. Forward up to the middle. Come on back. Forward again. Come on back. Face your partner. 1 heel and toe. In you go. Heel and toe. Out you go. Heel, toe. In you go. Ladies out. All march. Turn around. Go back. Turn that partner left for the 1 full time around. Swing the next. Put her on your right. Join hands forward. And back. Forward again. And back. Face your partner for heel and toe. Just 1. In you go. Heel, toe. Out you go. Heel, toe. In you go. Ladies out. All march. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Turn around. Go back. Turn partner left. 1 full time. Swing the next. Put her on your right. Join hands forward up to the middle and you come on back. Forward again. And back. Face your partner for heel and toe. Heel, toe. In you go. Heel, toe. Out you go. Heel, toe. In you go. Ladies out. All march. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Turn around. Go back. Turn partner left. All the way. Knee corner. Swing. We're on your right. Forward up to the middle and back. Forward again. Face your partner for heel and toe. Heel, toe. In you go. Heel, toe. Out you go. Heel, toe. In you go. Ladies out. All march. Turn around and go back. Turn partner left. All the way. Swing the new girl. Put her on your right. Forward. To the middle and come on back. Forward again. Face your partner for heel and toe. Heel, toe. In you go. Heel, toe. Out you go. Heel, toe. In you go. Ladies out. All march. Turn around, go back. Turn partner left. Swing the next. Put her on your right. Join hands forward up to the middle and back. Forward again. Face your partner for heel and toe. In you go, heel, toe. Out you go, heel, toe. In you go, heel, toe. Ladies out, march. Turn around, go back. Turn partner left. Swing the next. Forward up to the middle and back. Forward again. Face your partner for heel and toe. In you go. Heel, toe, out. Heel, toe, in. Ladies out. All march. Turn around, go back. Turn partner left. Swing the next. Bow your partner.
interviewing the band. And all the way around the hall here, it's pretty full.